Hello, everyone. Harry here to talk about Trump's unbelievably brazen counter proposal, really, for scheduling the January 6th case before Judge Tanya Chutkan. Okay, so to review the bidding, the government came in with a proposal saying we can start this case January 2nd in a very short timeline based given the way these cases normally go, but we can do it. I think the government was clearly thinking there'll be some play here, and that's a good way they have to be ready in case the judge kind of calls their bluff, but basically they think it would give a few months. So for Trump, when he went through this exercise in more friendly setting of Judge Eileen Cannon, he had a different version of a brazen proposal. He said, no, let's just not set one now. And she didn't punish him for that, although she wound up setting a later date, but he got away with it. This is a similar kind of real sort of, I think, kind of middle finger to the judge. That his job is to now, make a tenable proposal. And she's already foreclosed at the first hearing. She said, I'm not thinking about this in political terms. So the argument that in fact he made to Cannon and he wants to make here, we need to, to get past the election. This is really just election interference. He can't make here. So instead, he needed to come up with something else. Okay, the major point here, the bottom line, April 2026. A stunning long latent period until they do it. And he attaches a itemized. This is what you do when you do a scheduling. You don't just do the trial date, but you go through pre-trial motions, jury selections, motions called motions in limine that you do more just before you go to trial. All of 2025 under Trump's proposal has three items on it, which are three scheduling/discovery conferences. That's it. So it's a total like leisurely walk around the park is the way he has proposed it. All right. So how does he try to justify it? Because he can't proffer the election. So he says three things. One, there's so much discovery here, 11 million pages or whatever. Second, it's a very complicated case to get your hands around. And third, there's some classified documents involved, and that always adds a lot of time. We're learning about that in the Mar-a-Lago case. All right, so first, this discovery thing. Yeah, that's the correct number of pages, but that is really, nothing so special. They're sort of in modern litigation, two kinds of cases, like computer cases, which are measured in the terabytes, and paper cases like this. Yes, tons of pages, but first, unbelievable amounts of duplication. So the way modern practice works, somebody hits reply all, boom, that's 5 times the pages. And what one always does here, the DOJ will do this, Trump certainly will do it and can afford it. You have to hire these kinds of data management consultants, and they put it all up on a sort of separate platform, and you do everything by incredibly fast and efficient searches. That's how it will work here. Relatedly, this is not like a case where he has to find the needles in the haystack. We know the story, and he knows the story. He knows what he's accused of doing, and they want to really go to school on, say, the witness transcripts, and he will. But the notion that they're going to sit there, and pour over each of those pages, that's just not how it works. And every sophisticated litigant knows it. So what it is a talking point, and maybe a somewhat effective one. It would be the equivalent of reading War and Peace 8 times every day for the whatever. But it's completely deceptive in terms of how things work. Ditto the complex case. There are 4 counts here. They're straightforward. He's the one who who did it. They were perpetrated sort of in real time in front of us. It isn't a deeply complicated, there's a certain number of actors, there's a certain number of really important dates and conversations. It's really an old-fashioned case and a fairly simple one. And the classified stuff is just a few pages. We don't know what it is, but it seems like maybe in some search turned it up, and they just have to be cautious about it. But that really ought to be straightforward. So it's all, a sham for sort of public reception more than the judge. So on the merits, it's not very strong. But the question is, what is he thinking? Because to the judge who's already shown her, he has already pushed her buttons before the first hearing and now this hearing, which is going to be a week from Monday, the 28th. He is, obviously has come out of the box with a ridiculous schedule. Now, some judges might say, fine, I don't, Mr. Trump, what you've said makes no sense at all. I'll just take the government's proposal. I think most likely she doesn't do that. She gives ground, puts, a few months on, even essentially ignoring him. But definitely just one more instance in which he and his lawyers can't be getting on her good side, right? It's just a jackass move to proffer a date that everybody knows is ridiculously extravagant and brazen. And I think it's really, this is like Trump wanting to say, instead of we won the states, we won them in a landslide. That's his style. So in the same way, rather than coming out with a proposal in 2025, they have to go to 2026. And again, for reasons that, would apply to any sort of little case. Oh, one more thing he argues. Government took 2.5 years to investigate. So that's truly a non sequitur. They are just different functions. Doing an entire investigation, finding witnesses, leaving no stone unturned. And then you winnow down the charges, you put them in a, nice indictment. And that's what Trump has to answer. It's really got nothing to do with how long they spent investigating. Okay, so a ridiculously extravagant proposal of April 2026. One that will not endear him to the judge, but only to the public. And we'll see whether the judge essentially ignores it or gives ground come the hearing. So, and by the way, the stakes I think are pretty high. So he's jerking her around, but if she does, I don't think she will. I think she's going to give as much, seem as reasonable and patient as she can. But this is one where she responded as a judge could. Mr. Trump, you cannot be serious. I'll go with where the DOJ is. It really would be foreboding for him to go. This is the most important trial. It's the one that, Smith would be ready to go. If they actually go to trial, February, March, whatever, of next year, the prospects of a conviction and well before the election are strong. And that's got to be a real problem for the thing he's really trying to keep his eye on, which is, winning the election. It would have to be a body blow unless, he's counting on everything being irrelevant or even helping him out. But this is the case he doesn't want to go to trial in and doesn't want to lose before the election. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.